All right, guys. Hey, welcome to our Thursday agency training call. I'm excited to be able to have some of our very good friends, the Crenshaws and the Hills, with us. You know, before we get started, and I have them introduce themselves. I thought we had a pretty good wedding until I went to their weddings, and then I was like, "Damn! Like that's what FFL money can do for you." And like literally two of the best weddings that we've ever seen were, the Crenshaws and the Hills. So thank you for inviting us there. But um, you know, Nina, Hayden, Josh, and Alondra, like so many times we get asked in this business, like, how do people build this as a couple, right? And like, there's a lot of tension and there's, roles that aren't said and all that. So, Hayden and Nina, can you kind of share with us like how you guys found insurance? Was this the first place? Who found Family First Life? All that good stuff, which you guys did before.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for having us on. We're obviously super, super pumped. We have so much love for all of you guys, and it's just definitely an honor to be on with you guys. But rewind, I mean, Hayden, you've been in this business for almost a decade. We actually started with a captive company. Hayden started before I did. He was actually like a heavy hitter at the last company that we were with. He had a team, sold a lot of insurance, and couple years into that, we were like, dude, why are we like making 20-30% comp when like all these other companies out there are actually like paying their people? So eventually got to a point where basically Hayden was like, I'm out of this business. I don't even want to do this anymore. So he started medical device sales. But I had a couple friends that started with FFL from that last company. So I was like, like let's see what this FFL thing's all about. At first, we didn't believe it because it was like the whole 100% comp thing. We're like, we're at 30% comp over here. How does that even make sense? Like the math doesn't math. Quickly, obviously, realized that the uplines were making way more money than we were on our sales. But yeah, so we started FFL I started in August of 2019. Hayden shortly after he came on part-time and then eventually came on full-time after he saw those nice sales commissions on this end. So been here for almost 6 years, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Like I feel like it just all has gone by so fast. And crazy enough, Josh and Alondra were kind of like what sparked us to go all in on this business because I went to a conference, so similar to the Ignite conference, but this was in November of 2019. And I was there alone. I saw those two on stage and they were actually sitting in front of me. And the whole time I'm texting Hayden, I'm like, dude, there's this like power couple here. They each write 40 grand a month. Like, how do we do this? Like, let's go. And that's when Hayden basically started all in. And then here we are.
I love it. Josh, Alondra, how did you guys find the business?
I mean, kind of very similar to Nina. We had gotten our insurance license through a different company. We were both going completely traditional route. So I was going to school to be a nurse. Josh was going to try to do the process with corrections. And it was kind of like a blessing in disguise because I was like, well, I'm just going to get this license. I'm going to be a nurse, so I'm going to be able to help people around me. It's kind of going to go hand in hand, is what I was thinking. Then I started going, and then I was able to see the potential that you're able to make. I'm seeing a lot of these people that I'm like, okay, they're not that special. Like, are you really making that money? But I'm grateful because it opened my eyes. And for me, the biggest thing is I only thought that you could make a lot of money unless your family came from money, you had some sort of business, or you had degrees, like. So that's kind of like what opened our eyes. And when we heard about Family First Life, it was like, hey, you can come here. You're going to get a 50-point increase of what you're currently getting. You don't have to pay. And they have leads. So you're not having to bug your friends and family, which is what we did not want to do, because that was why we never did well at the other company, because I was like, I'm not making money. I cannot recruit anybody. This is like, I still believed it's like, I was like, I can't do the whole system that you guys run. So I was very intrigued with the leads thing. I remember I went to Josh and I told him, and he was like, I don't know, like you can try it first. I'm gonna, just keep doing what we're doing. So I started doing it part-time completely. Like I never left school or my job, and I started making more money than I was doing at my other job. And then that's kind of when I was telling Josh, I'm like, okay, like imagine if we both were full-time, we both were running the schedule. So it took us a long time to like switch your mentality. I was 19 at the time when I started. So again, I had a lot of outside noise, a lot of people around me that were kind of like, no, like you have to stay doing nursing. You have to stay at your job. So I listened to that for like 9 months until I finally was like, I need to go all in and see if this is going to work for me. We both had that conversation. We both talked about it, and it was like, hey, yeah, you're right. we shouldn't both be just working the same leads that we buy once a month every single time. So it was literally a decision. I remember I called Andrew and I was like, hey, I'm looking through this thing. You're my upline. I see you're having success. I want to be around you. You know, I'm going to come down. Will you be at your office? And that's exactly what happened. We drove 4 hours so I can meet Andrew. And I was like, I need to know the secret sauce. And he was like, you just need to buy leads twice a week and book more than 20 appointments and go see them. And if you don't get a hold of them, go door knock them or do whatever you can to blow them up until you get them on the phone. I followed that recipe and I never looked back. That was my first $20,000 month. And then every month after that, it increased no back.
I love that because you said it took about 9 months, right, for Josh to come on and you guys to take it serious. Because so many times, like we get started in this business and like we want our spouses to do it right then and there. But like when I work with a lot of couples, I go, like, regardless of who I'm talking to, I go, you want to know how you get your spouse on board? Results. Unfortunately, that's like the only thing that speaks. Like money in the bank account to know that the bills are paid, mortgage is paid, food's on the table, roof over head. Like that's how you get your spouse on board usually. You know what I mean? It's so funny because I share this with everybody that I work with is like I was so envious of both you guys, like all four of you guys, both your guys' families, because I was sitting there going, I get to watch you guys build it together. And I wanted Janelle to do this with me at the time, but she was obviously taking care of baby girl. And I was like, man, like how much further ahead will we be? This, that, and the other. So I was always like, I wish we can do it that way. You know what I mean? One of the things I want to talk about, and Josh, I want to start this with you guys, is choosing identities, right? Because what I mean by that is some people, their spouse comes into this business as support, as like admin, as like I'll do contracting, I'll do this, right? Like you look at Nicole and Andrew. Andrew sold a lot of insurance. Nicole was like back office admin, help with contracting, did all that stuff. Some people come in and go, no, 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 we're both going to sell. So like, how did you guys figure that out, Josh and Alondra, when you guys came in?
So rewind a little bit, guys. First off, these people on the call, the Hills and the Yees, are some of my best friends in life, not just in business. So it's been awesome to grow with you guys, and it's been a ride. What, 6, 7 years? It's been insane. And Nina, I wish we could go back and work on the same team because that would have been great for everybody. But Steve, to be honest, not to sugarcoat anything, for me, it was Alondra was like, I'm in. I don't know about you, but I'm in, right? And if you don't do this, I don't know if the relationship's going to work. Like, how am I going to be out traveling the country and you're going to be out at a local job just clocking 40 hours and like, what are we going to do? I don't know if it's going to work. And for me, that was a wake up call, guys, because like I was almost 30 years old at the time. And then we're barely making any money. She said, I have 10 grand in my account. Like, what's yours at? And it was for me that at that point it switched, you know what I mean? Because it was, I got to go all in because I'm not, for one, she shit talks a lot. So I'm like, I got, and I've been in the home with her and I'm like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. Right. So for us, like, we didn't really have like, we didn't have it figured out, Steve, at all. Right. We just were like, we need to make money. We need to go all in on this thing. We tiptoed for about a year. And we barely did anything and she's got 10 grand in the bank account. Like, guys, if you look at the stats, like there's like 5% of the country that's got that. Right. And for me, I was seeing how much time and hours we were working at our restaurant job just to make ends meet. So I was like, I just need to go all in. We need to go all in and let's let the chips fall where they fall. Right. And I think a lot of times people, we lollygag in this thing so long. We see the success stories. We're like, it can never be me. And that's kind of how I felt. I'm like, you know, Nina's got the best leads. I don't know what she's doing. She's right in 30. You know what I mean? Like, what is she doing? Right. When in reality, it was just like, she's just working her butt off. Like, and we got to go match that. And it was the same thing for everybody that's gone Hall of Fame and has a big agency. It's like, guys, it's not that they had it all figured out day one, Steve, but it's like, we had nothing figured out, man. We're just like, we're going to buy leads twice a week each and then just go work harder than we've ever worked before. And let's give it a year and see where we're at. Because that's what she told me. She's like, give this thing 12 months. And if it doesn't work, you can go apply back at the state again, you know? So that was really the biggest thing for us.
And I think also just to add a little bit, we're both very dominant personalities. So neither of us wanted to stay home and do like the admin work. I'm like,
right.
I can do that, but my time is more useful. I'm more useful selling insurance and duplicating and teaching agents what I'm saying in the home. So for us, it made more sense because I'm like, you're good in the home, I'm good in the home. We are both cringe in the home together. He's awkward when I'm there, so it's like we can both go use the same time and hire somebody to help us do the non-money making activities, the ones that are going to talk to the agents, helping them book their tests, do all the contract and stuff. That was easy for us because then if anything, it helped us even be more disciplined with our selling because now we have someone responsible for like someone's livelihood that's responsible that we need to make sure that we pay them every single month.
Right. You know, it's funny you say that because like we've been trying to focus on building like a women's team underneath, Janelle. And I share this with people all the time, and I don't think they believe me. Like, if her and I were to go apply for a CEO position right now, I naturally make more because I'm a dude. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's like, unfortunately, the world that we live in, right? But when you come into insurance sales, if she has an 80 and I have an 80, we have the same compensation. And if she sells more than me, she makes more than I do. Between your guys' family, like Josh and Alondra, who's sold more? Like the year they went Hall of Fame.
Oh, she got
I
me.
did.
She had a big annuity, Steve. That was it.
That's where we're going. Nina and Hayden, like between you guys, who sold more?
It's actually Hayden.
Okay, cool.
But
So like,
I probably could have. He just outworked me. That was it.
It was like a 9 month run though. If I would have gave it the whole year, it would have been bonkers. But
dang, I love it. I love it. But I love that because like it's one of the only fair playing fields that are out there. You know what I mean? And so like that's where for me, like prior to Steve G being the number one agent in the company, like people forgot it was Amy Michelson for years. And so that's where I share that with people. Like people ask me, why did I get her license? I was so damn scared that if I died, our our livelihood and our standard of living would change so drastically if she didn't know how to sell. That's the only reason why I got her the license because I was like, hey, we live too good for you not to know how this thing works, right? And so like I know a lot of people are like, no, you don't need to do it, don't worry about it. But I'm like, I was so scared out of my mind that like we had, two kids, a mortgage to pay for, and all these other things. I was like, I didn't want her to go homeless, you know. Hayden, like how did Nina get you into the business? Because obviously you were in insurance first, but you were like, I'm gonna go do, med sales. Like, how did she get you to go full time here?
I think it was the deposits and just seeing the system, and then it was also just social proof from people that used to be like at our old company, like in our agency or like in the company. And I'm like, dude, this guy or girl couldn't even like hit water if they fell out of a boat, and now they're ripping like 20, 30 G's a month, like in home. And I'm like, all right, like it's the same person. It's just got to be the system. And that's, still to this day, that's what I love about the insurance business is everything's based on math and it's just a system. And if you just work the system, you don't have to be super special or good. It's just a product of you being in the system where you're going to have success.
Right. I love it. Good.
I wanted to add to what Alondra was saying because she had mentioned that, she was better in the home than she was doing all the admin work. So that's what our original plan was for me to run with Steven. But then we were so broke and couldn't afford birth control. We were like, God, if it happens, it happens. And it happened. So, our plans kind of changed. And I was like, okay, I'm comfortable doing this, with me being pregnant, going through the morning sicknesses and stuff. I'm comfortable with doing the admin work. Do I regret doing the admin work? Now that I'm selling, 100% yes. Because now I'm like, damn, I could have been making this money back then. And it's not that I regret it, but I'm like, it happened at the right time when it
Right.
did. But I'm like, man, if I had gotten my license and actually like started selling, it would have been different. But we didn't have telesales back then. So now I'm like, it's easier with the kids and stuff. But yeah, for sure. I totally agree with what Alondra said.
And that leads me to my next question, which is y'all didn't sell together. Y'all are all individually Hall of Fame on your own. Because so many times when I talk to couples, they're like, oh, we can go sell together. And I'm like, 40,000 together, same bills. 40,000 each, 80,000, same bills. Like, you know what I mean? When did you guys make that realization, Alondra, that like, no, 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 hell no, we're gonna go run individually on our own because we can stack up, right? When did you guys, how quick were you guys able to do that? Because you did run a little bit together, you said.
Yeah, we did run a bit together. I would say, I don't know, I think kind of Josh kind of was like, I enjoyed it, like especially like when we would go out of town a lot of the times, because that's one thing. We never were off weekends. We worked weekends. So sometimes like we would go and work like on the coast. That was like my escape from like Bakersfield, because I lived in Kern County. And like it felt like a vacation, but really wasn't. And like we'd go together, but it just was not, unless we were like traveling somewhere like Hawaii, but that meant we were running like 14, 15 appointments a day. Like I'm talking stacked on the hour. That was like the only times that we ran together. And that was just because I was too young to get a rental car. But it was honestly like we were just like, Josh was like, you're too cringe. Like I can't sit there while you're in the home, like with the stuff that's coming out of your mouth. Like your style is so different than mine. So it honestly just really happened naturally. And it was cool because what was awesome is like you could have a bad day, but then like he could have a really good day. And it was like
Right.
the house won. The house did not lose today.
Right.
So it just double expenses though. That was the thing. Like people would probably like it'd be scary because we paid a credit card bill once a month. I mean, we were spending money. Like you have to spend to make like I think our average credit card was 16 to 20,000 a month in leads cost. But we were generating over 80 every single month.
Wow. What about you, Nina? Like, how did you guys ever run together? Did you guys go, no, 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 we're doing it separate right from the get-go? Like, how was that?
Yeah, same kind of deal when we would go on our travel trips because like the way we did it is if we traveled to sell face to face, we were running like 14, 15 appointments a day. So it was just busy, busy, busy. So we're like, okay, if we pack in these like as an individual, you can only do so many, but together it's like one person's doing the e-app, the other
Yep.
person's presenting, then you switch off. One person's exhausted from talking all day, then the other person's doing it. So like
Right.
when we would travel, yes, we do it together, but locally we always like had our own schedules and like did our own thing. I feel like it's super important. Like you're supposed to market yourself. I think it's important to market as a couple, of course, like that's amazing, but also market yourself and like what you bring to the table. So that was our biggest thing. It's like I wanted, if I recruited a guy, I wanted to get on the phone
Caught
with
up
him.
to you yet. So
Hey,
I appreciate.
I wanted to be like, hey, I'm obviously a female. We're probably going to have a different style of selling, but hey, my husband's a Hall of Fame producer.
Right.
He wrote 500 grand last year. I can go ahead and get you connected with him, and he can kind of show you like the sales role from like a male's perspective. Same thing with Hayden if he recruited a female. So
Right.
we thought that was super, super crucial for the both of us is just doing it on our own.
I was going to ask you that because you guys recruited a lot of, like both you guys did. Like Josh, you took like like 500 people from one company, and I know you guys took the same, if not more, from the other one, right? So like when you were, like you said, marketing yourself, because you guys, in my opinion, nobody in the company did it better than you guys in terms of like Instagram, like stories and like showing your lifestyle, what you're doing and branding yourself to basically have attraction marketing. Like, were you targeting a specific person, Nina and Hayden, or were you going like, no, we're just going everywhere? And if we recruit a dude, I'll get him on the phone with Hayden. If I recruit a gal, I'm gonna get her on the phone with Nina. Or like, how did you guys do that?
Yeah, 100% everywhere. It's funny because like we have girls on our team now that are like, oh, like I want to start my own girl gang. And I feel like you're almost like not limiting yourself, but eventually
Mm,
if like one of your girls hires a guy and then it's like, oh, like I work with a group of girls, it's just not the same. You know
right.
what I mean? So we like, I would say we marketed to everyone.
Yeah, and I think also, Stephen, it's like it's just doing your homework and like being aggressive. And it's like in the recruiting side, it was like, dude, I would find like solar and pest and insurance companies, and I would get like so deep, like almost like stalker level. Cause I'm like, dude, this guy obviously has a team of like 15 people who are the top players. And then I'm gonna watch their stuff and everything. And like, dude, like there was one time when like Sean called me and he was like, hey, I'm with this girl who's in solar and they want to bring their team. And like she said that like you follow them and like talk to all the top guys there and like and all that. And it's like, cause I wanted to get ingrained and embedded in those companies. So it's like that's what it takes to really find the people that are gonna do well. Because like the reality is anyone can do this no matter what experience. But also the reality is, the 99% rule is if I can find someone who's already in this type of business in terms of selling, recruiting, and training, dude, those are the people I want because it's
Right.
just a shorter path to success.
Right. I love that. One of the things that I've shared this with people all the time is like the underlying secret of if you will make it in this business or not, if you have a spouse, is a supportive spouse versus an unsupportive spouse.
Mm.
I share that because like I had a gentleman on my team. He had a network marketing background, built 50,000 people in his downline, which is crazy, which is technically larger than the company we have now. And I'm with him, and I take him and his wife out to dinner because I've known him in the past, never met his wife, and we're at dinner, and I'm like talking about how great he's going to be doing, right? Like just building him up, building him up, building him up. And at dinner, his wife goes, "Well, if it was so simple, then why the are you not doing it yet then?" And I'm like, "Damn, he ain't gonna make it." Because if she's willing to say that in front of me, what happens behind closed doors? You know what I mean? And so like so many people like the battle, like calling leads, getting cussed out, dealing with stupid agents is enough battle already. And then you got to come home and battle that too. Like that's hard. You know what I mean? So like, how did you guys support one another? Like Josh, like how did you guys support one another in the business to be like compliments to one another instead of like going this way?
Yeah, I think a true story, Steve. It's like I have family and really close friends that I've wanted to that they've seen our success. They know a lot of people that have done well here, but they don't have the support at home. So it's like even the relationship that we have as, friends and family, it's not more than what the spouse or partner is at home that's feeding in their ear. You know what I mean? So it's like if you have someone that goes and they get into this thing and they don't make money for 3 days, the spouse could be like, "What are you doing? Like you could have made money at your other job." You know what I mean? And I think that's huge because it's like and I think that's what Alondra saw. She's like, it wasn't that she was, trying to dip out on the relationship. She was more like, I just need you to be aligned with me. Like, I know you can do it. Like, let's just go do this thing together. It can be really good. And getting back to it, with the support at home with us, like I always told her like she needs to turn off sometimes because she was go, go, go. She's like 24/7 business, business, business. And I'm like, hey, like I hear you. Let's go eat dinner and not talk about it at all. Right. But I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, Andrew told us early on, you've got to get unbalanced for a little bit to get ahead. And I think a lot of people right now, they don't want to get unbalanced. We want to work the 8 to 4, 8 to 5 weekends off, and we're wondering why we're still in the same spot as everybody else doing the same stuff.
Right.
And for us, it was like if we're gonna bust our tails for X amount of years to get ahead, let's do it now. We don't have kids, like we're not, we weren't even married yet at the time. Looking back, like it was so awesome to have the wedding we did have because we put in all the work to get to where we were at, right? Because again, we've talked about it too. Let's go get married in Vegas, do something small, but in the reality, we're like, let's enjoy the fruits of our labor after. Let's not do it before. And I think a lot of people, Sean always says they get head faked. Like we have a good month and then we take the month off and then we're right back in the same spot. And Steve, for us, I always told her, I want to work like this business is chasing me, right? Like at any point, this thing can fail, right? And I think when you work with people, it's a volunteer army. Like nobody's, they're not stuck with us here. And for us, if they saw us doing everything we needed to, why wouldn't they want to come work with us? And same thing with you guys on the call, right? Who wouldn't want to come work with the Hills and the E's doing everything they're doing for their team and leading from the front? And that was really, a 24-month thing. We're like, well, let's just go all in and let it fall and see where we're at the end of it.
I love what you said. Get unbalanced to get ahead. Well, Andrew said it right. Another thing is like getting uncomfortable. And that's one of the main reasons why you need to have a supportive spouse, especially, with telesales or even if you're in the field, getting that rejection and not, having 13 appointments in your calendar in a day and then not being able to sell one.
Mhm.
Like I will always go to Steven and be like, oh, I failed today. And he's the one that will pick me up and say, no, you didn't. Like, how many presentations did you have? How many calls did you make? Like, what did you do here? What did you do there? What did you do here? And that support from him is what allows me to get back up on my feet. That's why it's so important having a supportive spouse and communicating that with them. Because if you just expect it from them, you're not going to get it. You need to be able to say, like, hey, I am going to be sacrificing our evening times because I'm going to be running mortgage appointments, or I'm going to be sacrificing 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. so that I could run final expense in this state. But I promise at this time, I'm going to spend time with the kids, or we'll have dinner together, or we'll do this, we'll do that. And that's where communication is key between husband and wife, right? And just having that support with them.
And something big too, Steve, is when we were all in the field, right? All four of us when we did our Hall of Fame run. And we wouldn't run together when we run in separate directions. So, if we're 2 hours away from home, our reconnecting time was driving home just talking on the phone the whole time till we got home. And it was honestly refreshing because it's like, it's just nice to reconnect with someone that knows what you're going through. And I think that's where spouses and partners run into it. It's like, Almond, if you get killed on the phones today, your spouse going to know kind of where you're at and what to say, or is she going to put you down and say, hey, we got to start looking at other options. And for us, all four of us, that wasn't an option. You know what I mean? We were all aligned on what we were doing, and it just really helped.
I love that. Nina and Hayden, did you guys ever like bring your work home? Like, how were you able to shut it off? Or how were you able to go like, dude, work to the side, it's us right now? Like, how did you balance that part out as well?
I think in the start it was pretty difficult just because the business is so emotional. Like Janelle said, it's like you're gonna have the best of the best days and then you're gonna have the worst of the worst. Like that first year, like obviously the first year in any business is the hardest, but that first year we had a lot of arguments. A lot of the times we wanted to quit and throw in the towel. And even today, it's there's always going to be bumps. There's always going to be issues, and you just have to work through them. One thing I think that's cool is this business will make you like an animal, and so especially if you do it with your spouse, I'm like, dude, there ain't nothing that can happen that can derail us as like a couple, and as like obviously business partners. And so I think it's at the start, really, there's no balance. This is your life. And, it makes it even more worth it when you're making great income that you were never making before. Of course, like Sundays for us, that was always like we were never selling on Sundays. That was kind of like our refresh, kind of recalibrate type of day. And then as you go on with your journey, you start selling a lot, you hire staff, you have a team, you have some passive income coming, then you start to regain some of that balance, I think. But in the start, man, when you're getting this thing off the ground, you got to realize that you got to give up to go up. And there's not going to be the balance that you want early on, but someday after a couple of years, you're going to get it back.
I love that. Someday after a couple of years. Because here's the like people think that they should be able to have that balance in 2, 3 months. And I'm like, dude, you're freaking delusional. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And like I love how real you were because you were like, dude, we fought a lot early on. Like we do too. And it's like we're not perfect. We don't try to pretend that we are because this is real. But like sometimes people don't see that, so they go, "Oh man, like only this happens only to us." Nah, dude, it happens to all of us. Like it is 100% normal. Can you communicate kind of like what Janelle said? And now once I want to take that to, Nina, like how do you have tough conversations with your spouse?
I mean, I feel like you're almost forced to in this business because tough shit does happen. Like on the sales side, you get chargebacks. On the building side, you get roll up debt. So like you're facing those issues kind of head on. And I feel like for us, like when we were like, hey, we're going to build this thing and we're going to do this thing and we're going to go all in, like we had to have that intentional conversation with each other of like, hey, we're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices to do this. We're not going to be able to go on vacations and all this hype stuff that you see on social media and people doing all the time. Like I had a brand new agent reach out to me the other day and he just started and he's like, I really want your guys' life. He goes like, I want to go on the trips and I want to do all that. I said, dude, we didn't go on our first vacation for 7 years. So like we were all in on this business for those first 7 years until we went on our first trip, which was our honeymoon, right? So it's like how many people are actually willing to do that? So for us, we just had that intentional conversation of like, hey, if we're going all in, this is what it's going to look like. It's supposed to be hard. That's another thing that Grady always used to say. The journey to success, especially here, is freaking hard. So you have to be willing to like face those challenges. So for us, it kind of came, I don't want to say came easy because it was still hard having those tough conversations, but like we had no other choice if we wanted to build this thing big. And it doesn't help. I just want to say this. It doesn't help Josh or Hayden that Alondra and I are very, very spicy. So we kind of calmed down a bit, but the first couple of years were definitely hard for them.
Dude, it's funny you say that because I never knew that. You were like, we didn't take our first vacation until 7 years, and it was like you said it was your honeymoon.
Yeah.
True story. We got married. We didn't take a honeymoon, and the first vacation I took was after our deal.
Yep.
And like, here's the shit that I wish people can see. It's like, dude, you see us now. Y'all didn't see us when it was like the grind. Like when every post was like a client, a picture of us and a client taking a picture in the home, like for like 8 times a day. Like y'all see the balance of life now. And but like that's the part that I'm like, but you don't get to be there until you go through all that crap.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you see the finished product. You didn't see the beginning when it was a battle. Right? Josh, you're gonna say something?
No, I completely agree, bro. I think it's huge because it's like now, it's almost FFL grows so fast that your old news fast, and that's not a bad thing, right? Just because there's so many new up and comers coming in, there's new power couples, there's new, and shines the spotlight on new people very fast, which is great because again, all shapes, sizes, and colors, like you're gonna win if you're doing the right work. And I think the same thing as Nina said, like, my wife's spicy as hell, man. And we weren't married yet, and we went through all the bumps and bruises that it takes. And just because something looks good on Instagram doesn't mean that's how it really is. You know what I mean? And the issue paid report will give you a number, the bank account will say a number, but there's so many X, Y's, and Z's that took to get to that spot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And also, I'd say another really cool thing though that it's different. This business, you're gonna get faced with a lot of ups and downs. What's interesting is everybody has very much different personalities and how to handle certain individuals, certain situations, and maybe some like, for example, like there'll be situations where I'll be so hot, like I am mad, and Josh is like cool, calm, and collected, and like he can see things from a different perspective. Or it might switch a different time. Like he may be so mad, he's like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this with this person or whatever, or the situation. And I'll be like, I got it. Like, I know exactly how to handle this individual. So, like, that was probably one of the really cool advantages that we have is like different personalities handle things completely different, which in turn all helps the overall company grow. So that was like probably one of the biggest things that I enjoyed during this process.
Kind of reminds me of like us when it comes to our kids. Like all we'll be with the kids the whole day, like on Sundays, right? And I'll look at Steven and I'm like, oh, his like level of energy is going down. So I'll ask him like, hey, where are you at? I'll be like, dude, I'm at like 20%. I'm like, all right, let me give you the 80. Let me chime in. I'll give you the 80. So it's kind of like that with like running appointments, right? Or even recruiting or dealing with the agency. You kind of have to be able to balance each other.
Yep.
Because there will be times where, you know, I'm very frustrated or I'm just like really not in the mood or my head's not in the right space. But I communicate that with Steven because I can't just expect him to know that because he's not a mind reader. Nobody is, right? So that's why I think like communication is key where I'm like, hey, you know what? Like I had a difficult time doing this and he'll be able to coach me and teach me and that's another thing, like being coachable. That's like one thing. Speaking of spicy, right? I'm always like, yeah, Steven's like the what is it called? The leader, but like I'm the boss, right? In the house is what I joke around and say. But like I know how to turn off the switch where I'm like, okay, if it's work related, he obviously knows way more than me and has been in this industry a lot longer than I have. So I need to be able to put my pride aside and say like, okay, how do I do this and be able to accept the feedback. And I tell him like, talk to me like I'm one of your agents, but like your boss at the same time, you know?
See, like, this is what I want to ask Hayden. Like, so, like, obviously, we didn't sell at the same time. You guys all did. So, like, your growing pains are going at the same time, which is kind of like relating. And so now it's like, well, that's my wife. If I can prevent some bumps and bruises, like, I want to. But then again, I go, but I can't because, like, you have to go through it. Right. And, like, it's where, like, I want her to win so bad that I almost talk to her more foul than I would an agent. Like, how did you guys do that? Because like did you ever listen to her sell and go, dude, what are you doing? Or did you go, you know what, like that's her, like how did you guys do that?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is like when I first started, I was the guy where if I could like if a certain carrier was $2 less per month or $1 less per month, I'm like, oh, we're not gonna go with our core number one or two. We're going with this guy. And it'd be like, dude, you're an idiot. Like not approved on the spot, like you're taking a pay cut, doesn't have the, accidental built in term, whatever. And so that was definitely something. There were other things, but I think also the way I always think about this, if like you guys don't have, your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, or maybe it's like your brother or sister in the business, is the way I always thought about it is like this thing's changed my life. I know the opportunity if you work hard, but you have to work hard to give it the shot to change your life. So the way I always think about it is like, why wouldn't I want all my best friends and like, ex buddies and high school teammates and call whatever it is. And so the thing that maybe I want to ask you is like, if your spouse isn't in the business and you guys have been talking about it and thinking about it, it's like, dude, there's no one I trust more than Nina. And for you, it's going to be the same exact thing as your spouse. And so it's like, yes, it's going to be hard early on and you teach each other things about the business and like master it. But after, 6 months, a year and a half, the business pretty well. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, it's like, dude, the dynamic duo of two people from the building side and the selling side is like, man, like, dude, even if one person has like a rough day, the other person has a good day. It's like, well, like Alondra said, the house wins. But when two people have a good day, bro, you bankrupt the damn casino because you and so just remember that there's gonna be bumps and things you got to learn to teach each other at the start. But after a while, it smooths out, and then from there, it's like when two people are locked in on the same mission. Oh my, it's
You
insane.
can't stop them. You know what I mean? And this is where I got nervous. And so for those of you on the call, like I want y'all to take a little bit of my lesson that I'm going through. Is like they were able to do it at the same time together. We did it separate times. Like she came to me after I sold the business, was like, "Hey, I think I want to sell insurance." And I'm like, "What? Like where was that when we were going through it? Our numbers would have been pretty." But here's why I say this, like this is the fear that I had was I was going to outgrow my wife because of like the stuff you go through in this business. Hayden said it, bro. Like you get a different type of skin after you do sales. You get a different type of skin when you eat debt, deal with stupid people, like deal with problems. Like you, like we cut a lot of like, we learned a lot in our short 4 years, like more than most people ever do in their life. And the craziest part was like, I was like, and she has no idea what that even means. And so like when you start picking up conversations and knowledge, like when we all go to dinner together, like the thing that I fear the most is like the five of us has a conversation and she's just a fly in the wall because she didn't catch up. You know what I mean? And for those of you on there, like that's the reason why I was so like always trying to bring Janelle into the business. So I didn't want to like leave her behind. You know what I mean? Like when we started talking about finances, when we started talking about things we were going to invest in, when we started talking about where we're going to put our money, what vehicles we're going to use, stuff like that. I wanted my wife to have an opinion as well. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where for me, it's like the reason why I would suggest those of you on the call, if you have a spouse, like do it together, is because you get to go through it together and your knowledge is almost identical. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat.
To that.
Yeah.
So like with, oh, I lost my train of thought. What did you say?
About outgrowing you?
Yes. Okay. So one of the reasons why I wanted to join the industry after he sold the business was because, I had just had our son. I was going through postpartum depression. And when you become a mom, you sort of lose your identity, right? How many of us are here, have kids and have experienced that? Put a one in the chat. I didn't know what my hobbies were anymore. I didn't know like what I was good at. Like if somebody were to ask Steven, hey, what's your favorite hobbies? Oh, I'm really good at basketball, selling insurance, golf, whatever it is, right? And someone were to ask me that, I'm like, I'm really good at being a mom. Like I didn't know what else to do. So I lost myself and I was like, wait a minute. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Steven's like changed so much since we started dating. Like before we were here. And it's not that he was leaving me or I felt like I was like left out or anything, because he never made me feel that way. His knowledge was just growing to the point where I'm like, well, wait, like let me catch up real quick, you know? And so that's what pushed me to be okay with getting uncomfortable, because I was so comfortable and so dependent on him. And we had a conversation where he's like, dude, both my parents died. What if I die? What are you gonna do? And I'm like, oh crap. Like, I don't know. I would I go back into the dental field? Hell no. I don't want to spit on me every single day. Right. And so I'm like, I really need to learn this. And so it being in this industry, like you need to be okay with getting uncomfortable and being able to grow and to communicate. And that's where I'm like, okay, like when I sold my first 14K in a month or in 1 week, it felt so good to hear my client say, I can sleep better at night because I have coverage. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm good at, helping people.
Yeah.
And like that's how I was like life insurance gave me my life back.
Dude, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So this is a true story. Y'all remember we went to Nobu?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? I don't know if you guys remember what happened that day. So the night before, she gets killed on the phone, like 0 for 10, right? She comes home. I'm upstairs in the loft. My foot's kicked up. I'm watching Sports Center or whatever it is. And she like storms in, walks right by, and she goes, I quit. And I'm like, all right. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, been there, done that. I know exactly what she's feeling, but I'm like, I'm not going to give it no energy because like it doesn't deserve any, right? And so she changes whatever it is and she comes out and she's like, how did you deal with like wanting to quit? And I was like, simple. I was like, in order for me to make the phone call to these people that I needed to quit, I needed to see you first. And I didn't have the audacity to make the phone call to tell you that I quit because some random effing stranger made my day horrible. And so I was like, it's a bad day. Get back on the wagon. We'll be all right. The next day, no joke, she ran an appointment, one appointment. Some lady that spoke her dialect, she sold 18 grand, one home. And I'm like, what if she quit the night before? You know what I mean? And like that's the stuff that like you guys talk about, like to be able to have a balance of be able to go like you're going through it, it's all good. Like I can be your level head. I'm going through it because like there's stupid stuff we deal with in the business, and she could be like, it's okay, like we got this, like God's got us, like we're all right, we'll get through this. Like it's so important to be able to have that support system at home because like what are we gonna do? Bitch about it to our agents? Like we're not doing that. You know what I mean? And so it's like we need a release of pressure and like it's not like we dump on our spouse, but it's like they're the ones that know how to take that pressure off of us. You know what I mean? Amin has a great question. How did you guys switch from having your mindsets of a W-2 to business owners, from getting a comfortable check to like earning on your own efforts?
I would say one thing, I mean, that was probably the hardest concept for anybody to listen because unless, I mean, we had absolutely no schedule. The day ran us. I went to the gym whenever I wake up, whenever I was just not disciplined or anything. So when I switched, I thought, oh, I'm a business owner. I get to make my own schedule. I get to do very quickly. I learned that that is not how it works. You want to get paid, you have to show up and you have to go to work. Mentally for me, it was a lot easier paying for like leads and things like that when I didn't feel like it was coming out of my bank account. So I went and got another bank account. So all the money was going into the business. And that way the business then paid me a small amount, just enough to cover my bills and a little sum. I didn't feel like I had all this money to go start buying a bunch of unnecessary things that were taking away from the attention from this business. And that was very, very easy for me to like mentally be like, it's not your money. It's not your money. This is all can disappear tomorrow.
What about you guys? The Hills.
Yeah, I think to add to that, like we've been saying this a lot lately, is you're not in this business to make 4 to 5 grand a month. And if you are, personally, I think you're in the wrong business. And I think there's way easier ways to make 4 to 5 grand a month. And if you're choosing to do this to make your 4 to 5 grand a month, like it's going to be the hardest and mentally like challenging 4 to 5 grand a month that you're ever going to make. So for us, like we were like, dude, we're doing this like, and it's crazy because a brand new agent, she's 22 years old, and she's like, this business messed up money for me.
Oh
Because
yeah.
she's like, I used to think making $500 a week or 750 a week was like so much money. And now she's like, if I make 1,000 in a day, like I'm sad. I'm like, that's crazy. But this business, like that is possible. Like you see the numbers and they're kind of getting outrageous. Like Hayden was with a guy last week and he was like, dude, I made 450. Stan, you guys had him on the call. 450K last month. Like that's insane. So it's like, yes, maybe your goal isn't to make 450K, but make that goal at least to be 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever it is for you. But I genuinely think that this is the hardest 4 to 5K you'll ever make. And I just feel like you kind of have to switch that in your head. And it takes just like experiencing your first 10K month, experiencing your first 15, 20K month. Cause like I remember us, like for me, when I first started this, like another piece of advice that I always give to people is like, if you're having a bad week or a bad day, don't freaking go calling the person that's writing 5 to 10K a month. Call that person that's writing 50, 60, 70, 80K. That's when I started calling Alondra. I didn't even know her. I just thought she looked really cool on social media and I knew she wrote a lot of business. I was like, okay, like I wonder how this girl would feel if I started calling her. And I did. And the perspective that she gave me was so refreshing because I was used to calling people that were writing 5K a month that were like, oh, the leads suck. 10,000 dials today. No one answered like, it's like, get out of here. Where Alondra's like, oh, you do this, 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 and this. It's simple. And the next day, what do you know? Like, I'm in a way better headspace, better mindset. I'm selling more because I'm surrounding myself with the right people. So
I love that.
Steve, I want to add one
Go
thing.
ahead, Josh. You got it.
It was for me, it was always pain points, right? Like I remember pain points through the journey, right? And for me, early on, my dad was a big advocator for like continue with the process to get with the state. Like you'll be safe, easiest job, benefits are good. And I was like, it was always in the back of my mind. So I remember calling him one day and I was like, I made 30 grand on my own pen. And I was like, Pops, I made 30 grand last month. And he said, that's great, son. Like, where are you at in the process with corrections? And for me, like, guys, I'm like, I'm gonna stack all the naysayers, the haters, because I'm like, watch what, because again, I think I remember having a conversation with Nina and Hayden, and we're like, do you guys tell your family how much you make? Like, do you tell people how much you, because it's like it's not comfortable, right? When you start really killing it, people can't relate with that. Because in their head, they're barely getting by. Like, guys, that's 95% of the country right now, your friends and family included, right? So for us, it was so important to connect with you guys because not just Alondra, not just at home. I needed more people that were doing the same thing in business that we could be close with, be friends with, and it helped that we weren't on the same team. There was no financial gain from any of us having conversations or helping each other, but it was nice being able to talk to Hayden and like, dude, how do you talk to your dad, bro? Like, how do you have these conversations? Does your mom know how much you guys make? Like, these are stuffs along the way. They're good problems to have, but no one teaches you how to do it. You know what I mean? And for me, it was just, I never want to go back to what we were doing prior to this business. And guys, once you make your first, 20, 30 grand in a month, you are messed up financially. It's all monopoly money at that point. Like, it's just like, what else can we do? How many more people can we build? How big can this thing really get? You know what I mean?
Dude, I love that. I wanted to ask the Hills, like, so like PDD wrote a book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Okay. I know who the hell drove me in this business. What was your, like, did you guys have people that drove you, or was it like chasing a thing? Like, what was it for you guys?
I think it was obviously just, it was definitely chasing a better life and more money and stuff. But I think something, and it's funny because sometimes like once every couple of years, I'll still text the guy. But like the owner of the last company I was with, I mean, I started when I was 20 years old. I was just a kid. I didn't know anything. I remember when I quit, and it's a lot of people say this, and it's like the final last words, and usually they're right, but not today. This guy was not right. He goes, just so you know, anyone who's left here has never been as successful as me in the business. And so I was like, I bet. And like they talk so much crap and everything. And so like just like Patrick says, you know, like the whole like the thing about like enemies in business and everything. And so it was like, dude, we went to war for a couple years and it was like all out. But I think, you know, one, I think we have the best opportunity ever. But two, and Sean always says this, and I lost it for probably like a year or two, just because I felt like there was almost no more enemies. And
Right. That's exactly where I'm trying to go. Right.
yeah, and Sean always says like one of the things you need in business is you need an enemy, just like anything. And so, you know, I think, and that's even like a friendly enemy. I remember coming up and like we tell some of our groups, like we just told someone yesterday, like who's the next person? And it's like we're looking at the leaderboards and they're here, and this guy or gal is, you know, maybe 200 or 300 grand as a team above them. And we're like, that's the next target. And so it's like having, you know, that enemy, whether it's friendly or not, that really is some of the best motivation sometimes to just prove people wrong.
Dude, I love that because, like, I always say you're either pulled by vision or pushed by pain. I was never pulled by vision. Like, I was like, I've been poor my whole life, like, like good, like living good. Like, what does that even mean, right? And so, like, I was pushed by pain, and like, it drove me. Like, the reason why I crushed this was like when I proposed to her, and she went back and told her family, and she had called me like 2 weeks later, and they were like, she was like, "Hey, my grandparents said that you need to get a real job." And I was like, "Oh, this ain't a real job? Like, watch me pay this wedding off with some fake job money then."
The exact words were, you guys need to move to Northern California instead of you moving to Southern California because you're going to be the breadwinner.
Oh yeah, I was livid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like some of y'all on this call deal with that. And it's okay to use that and channel it in the correct ways to drive you. And it's not that I have anything against her family, but like I'm a dude and I want to prove them wrong. And it's okay to do that, right? Like Hayden just said, he wanted to prove that guy wrong. And so like sometimes what's crazy is like when those people start congratulating you and it messes you up because you're like, dang it, I need another person. I need another person to like piss me off so I can change into the next gear. You know what I mean? And that's why I asked because I was like, that's how I felt 2 years ago. Like after we did it, I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. Like there's nothing to really wake up for. There's like no internal fire burning inside of me to like have this chip on my shoulder anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's the crazy part about this business is like it's simple to prove a lot of people on your hit list wrong, considering how much money we make. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I started coaching, when I was selling insurance while coaching basketball, one of the coaches on our staff was like, "Here we go again. Steve's selling out the kids, skipping practice because he got to go make some money." And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I can't wait for the day to make in a month what you make in a year. Like we know teachers don't make much, right? And that happened in like 3 months. And then I was like, oh, that was too easy. Now I'm gonna make what your whole family makes in a month. And like it drove me. So like when I was making calls and like people were like saying no, I wanted to quit, but then I'm like, but if I quit, so and so is right. Hell nah, I ain't quitting. Like I needed that. I needed that driving factor. You know what I mean? Daniel had asked the question, how do you guys balance the chaos of having kids? Brenda and I are nonstop from the time we wake up and don't know how to turn it off. Brenda's the boss, and we talk crap respectfully and keep each other in check. But how do you guys decompress? Dude, I learned this from Brian Adams. Like, this is where I learned it from. I was in a dinner and I thought I was being smart by asking him what his schedule was like. And so he told me his entire work schedule. And he said, no matter what, if you call me between 6 to 8 o'clock, I will not answer. He's like, everybody that I work with knows that. And he goes, because if I'm doing this for my family, there's 24 hours in a day. If I can't dedicate at least 2 hours to the people that I'm doing this business for, there's no reason for me to do this business. And I was like, oh my gosh. So he was like, all my colleagues know to call me before 6, or if they call me after 6, they're not getting a return call until after 8. And I was like, that was money. So we started putting in our calendar, Daniel, We called it family yi time.
Yeah.
So we would like just lock our phones up, play with the kids, eat, tickle Bryson, whatever it is, like throw balls at Jules. Like we just did that stuff.
But it's not just that, like we literally put everything in our calendar and we've adjusted to that. So since I'm going to start running more in the evenings, right? I put in there, okay, I need to pick up the kids at this time. I need to prepare lunch and dinner at this time. I need to wake up at this time. Every single thing, like put it in your schedule. Just because there's no such thing as balance doesn't mean you can't strive for some type of balance. Like there are going to be days where you're going to be a horrible wife or a horrible mom, a horrible husband, or a horrible agency owner, a horrible agent, whatever it is. But those same days, you'll be like, bad agent, good dad. Like
Right.
you just need to make that choice, right?
I struggled with identity for the longest time. Um, because I was like, I'm building and I'm putting so much time into this business. Man, we all did it. 12, 14 hours a day were normal. That's why when people are like, I work hard, 8 hours a day. I'm like, dude, good one, buddy. You know what I mean? But like we were doing that. Like it was normal to work 12, 14 hours a day, right? When we were grinding this through COVID and all that. And so I was like, I'm getting really good at business, but I'm being a horrible father and even a husband. And I hired a coach, like no joke, because like I remember the first time we were all at our first integrity meeting. I asked Mark and I asked Paul and I asked a few other people that are respected as parents and business owners, and like they gave me answers and they were good, but like I didn't really, it wasn't like life changing. And then I hired a coach, and the guy changed my life when he said this. He goes, rank yourself as a father, businessman, husband. And I'm like, husband one, father two, business owner three. He goes, nah, bro, you got it wrong. And I was like, what? He goes, 1A, husband, 1B, father, 1C, business owner. You're that person. It's who you are. Nothing ranks higher than the other. He goes, were you the same person when you were coaching basketball as when you were selling insurance? He's like, it's the same person. You have multiple identities. And like when I understood that, like for those of you that struggle with some of that, that's when like this business took off for me because I was like, no, 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 I'm not being a horrible father. I'm doing my job as a business owner to provide for my family so I can be a good father because they have a roof over their head, food in their mouths, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that crap was like it changed my thought process because I was like, I had to struggle with my identity. I'm like, oh my God, I work too hard. I don't have time for my wife. You know? Um, as we wrap up this call, last question for all you guys. Oh shit, it's 11. Um, when did you guys schedule date nights and times to get away?
We do non-negotiable. We do a date night every weekend, like once a weekend, every weekend, no matter what. And I mean, we've been doing this for literally for years, just because like I feel like it's our time to kind of evaluate kind of where we're at in our relationship in business in so many different aspects of our life. So that's just always been a non-negotiable for us.
What about y'all, Crenshaws?
We're not that great. We talk about it. We need to start doing these things. I think because we just got so used to, I mean, it's like we're always together, and people always ask me like, don't you get tired of like being with him 24/7? I'm like, no. I mean, like we're good. Like I don't know. Like we're not, we're still trying to learn it. There is no right or wrong reason. We were even talking about it like a little bit ago, and I'm like, dude, like, because we see all these people do all these go things that probably shouldn't be going out and doing the things that they're doing when their life isn't where they should be. And I'm like, dude, do you remember when we were like busting our butt like in the field? Obviously never took vacation. Like our one date night or like what we did for the week was like after the field, we'd like go to BJ's and like we'd split a rack of ribs and like some like tavern cut pizza. And like that was like our date night. And we were like,
It was
so
special. It was on special, Steve.
But dude, those are like sometimes more memorable than what we do now.
I think for now, the biggest thing for us is just living life on your own terms. You know what I mean? Like being able to go to the store with her at any time or go run an errand or take our dog to the vet. Like it's just being able to do that on your own time. Right. And I think it's not so much a thing or a place or something we do. It's just being able to be together. Because again, we look at, so many family members and they just don't have that. You know what I mean? And it is a blessing, but it is also like we busted our tails for this. You know what I mean? But at the same for the 54 people on the call, like you guys can all do the same thing. You know what I mean? We're not one-offs. We're not any better. It's just, when we hire a new agent, one thing I think we could all do better, Steve, and it's not so much like speaking up people. It's like people don't know what we had to do to get to where we're at. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a clock in and clock out. There was, I know all of us did this, but there was like 80,000 miles on the car in 12 months. It's like that's the stuff people don't see. So it is hard when we're like, were you on Zoom for 8 hours and did you make 400 dials? It's like, guys, we were logging more miles than you were dials. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just perspective, you know what I mean? So it's just how much do you really want it? And you got to define that for you and your family.
Absolutely. Well, hey man, I appreciate you guys, all you guys for hopping on, being able to see your guys' growth through the business and in life, man. Like there's nothing better than that. And Josh, like you said, it's like you guys are some of our favorite people, not just in business, but like outside of work, And so thank you guys. I'm excited for you guys for the future and what it holds for all of us, and thank you for taking time out your day for our group. So appreciate you guys. Thank you, Limitless Group. Thank you, Relentless Team. And as always, we'll see you guys at the top.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.